Alrighty, first. Nope. All right. Hi, everybody. Let me get this working a little better here. Who cares who's first? Yeah. 1 second, guys. Bear with us here. All right. Well, this is how we're gonna do it. KP, you gotta.
Yeah, I'm gonna chill over here on the side. You guys will be able to hear me, not see me.
You can get shit in there, buddy.
Hang on, you
Buddy KP. I don't know. Let me just remove this background for you, but you're not I don't think that's it either. Well, guys, welcome in. We're working on it. It's different not being at our computers at home where we have all the fancy stuff. Now we're laptoping it, and so far, I had settings somewhere. You see them? Yeah, I don't know. All right, yeah. So I guess we'll just get right into it. Clifton, thanks for being first. I guess you guys are having a little bit of a battle. You all look like ghosts a little bit in the living room. Yeah, that's the look we're going for. We're in our hotel room. We figured that this would be a better background, but now we got Hoodie KP, who is only like half showing.
yeah, the background doesn't really like me too much.
Yeah, I don't know how to remove it at this point, but yeah. How did we bowl? What a great question. Which time?
Yeah. We've been in Reno 2 weeks already now.
It is March 7th. We've been in Reno since the 24th. So 11 days in Reno so far. And been an up and down going. We'll start here. Good stuff with the classic. Yeah, thank you very much. For those of you that have not been following along, we bowled at Coconut Bowl to start in Reno. I personally like that place a lot more than the MBS at the moment. We bowled on a 38-foot pattern that like urethane really wasn't the main option.
Yeah, it was like a game, maybe 2 games.
Yeah, and so we both had some really strong showings, top 10 for both of us.
Yep.
I'll be on the show March 15th. Make sure you tune in. I am the #1 seed, so that was really cool. We bowled on 2 different sides of the building.
Yeah.
That was a unique experience where we bowled on one side where like a bunch of league play, and then we bowled on one side that's a bunch of like party play.
Yeah, open play.
And so.
And I will say the 2 bays are not close to each other. Like,
yeah.
If you have never been to Coconut Bowl, there's like 50 lanes maybe.
Yeah, I think it's more.
Yeah, we'll just say it's 50.
Yeah, we'll just say 50.
But there's 22 like over on like this side, right?
Yeah, and then side of the house.
Yeah, and then you walk around out of that bay and go maybe
I think it's like
40 yards.
I think it's longer than that.
50 yards. I mean, I've
sculled wedges as far as that walk is.
Yeah. And then you have another like 22 lanes.
Yep.
And in between is a game room and like a giant
laser tag
game
like a
room.
fun ball pit.
Yeah, the giant like jungle gym thing,
yeah.
A movie theater.
It's a super cool place.
Yeah,
it is the
awesome.
Future of bowling centers. This place is massive.
Yeah.
They say on the weekends they do like hundreds of thousands of business.
Yeah. So, like them having us there cost them so much money.
Yeah, yeah, super cool place. Some of those lanes were so hard compared to others.
Yeah,
get it right pairs at the right time.
Yep.
But yeah, my last block there, both of our last blocks, we made some runs. He
Yeah.
got stalled a little bit with some bad hits later in the block. I had a huge start to the last block that kind of kept me in the mix. Me and EJ had a good battle there for the number 1 seed. But then on to the World Series. We have a couple questions. We're going to get to you guys' questions. We're just going to kind of get through some of what we got going on first, and then we'll hammer out some questions. World Series of Bowling, 4 different patterns, 12 games in each pattern. We're really here for the major.
Yeah.
That's what you're really here for, which is technically the 5th tournament, but you have to be in the top 50 to make that cut. But really, you want to be around the 16th number.
Yeah, because they're cutting to so few people.
Yeah.
Which I personally prefer, because I feel like it makes a storyline about who bowled the best for the longest amount of time, not who has a run on whichever pattern.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
12 game sprints. The first day.
Neither one of us. Yeah.
The first pattern, really. The first day, I went minus 60 for my 6 games. It was the worst I bowled this year on tour, physically for sure. Bowling ball motion just never really got it going. Second day, had a huge block myself. I had 180 over. That got me to 120 over. But when you're bowling against the best in the world, 210 a game ain't going to do it. So I finished like 80th. I know that you didn't have a great first event either.
I had 44 over total, and I had 45 over the first block.
Yeah, so minus 1 day.
It was a lot of hitting the pocket and not striking at all. It was double, spare, strike, spare, for 2-1 to, I think I might have had the first block. I had 230 or I had 230, 190, 240, something like that. None.
Well,
it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
This is a little better, right?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the second block, drilled a couple different balls, ended up being the wrong idea because there was so much more friction, and I just did not. I didn't see it because I drilled bowling balls that were so slow that they just rolled off of it. So game plan was not correct. But yeah, and then we bowled on Viper yesterday and today, and
yeah, better for both of us.
Yeah,
I had a really good start yesterday. I had 199 over. You had 140 over.
Yeah,
kind of flipped roles today. KP had a monster block.
I had 270 over with 190 the last game.
That's a monster block. That must have felt good to see a ball go through the pen depth the last few days, though.
Yeah, honestly, it was awesome because even yesterday it was like double spare, turkey spare, double spare. Like I think I don't think I threw more than maybe a 5-bagger yesterday, and then today I started with the front 4 and I'm like, okay, like this is great. I'm sorry, I started with the front 3, immediately stuff an 8-pin. And I'm like, all right, well, it's kind of the same thing. And my first game was literally turkey, stuff 8, double, stuff 9, double, wrap dime, all in the 10th for 240. And I was like, all right.
So what you were describing about yesterday is what I went through today.
Yeah.
Today it was brutal. Today I had a huge start. I had 257. I was like, yeah, we're off to the races.
Yeah. And
then I hit a second pair where I struck twice total, 2 times total, 180, and then I was just on the grind. 0, I did not have anything more than a 3-bagger the last 4 games, and I saved 2 of them with the last 3 for 220 or 230.
Yeah.
It's not very conducive, so this makes this next 4 hours pretty stressful for me. Got to see if we make the cut. KP's in line for a bye possibly, so we're hoping that happens because we do not want him to be 9th and me to be 24th.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
That would be worst case scenario. But best case scenario is we're both in and he has a bye.
Yeah.
And then I'll bowl some more tonight at 7 p.m. our time, which is the hope. And then, Viper really didn't play 37 feet.
No.
It was you throw your thing for a game and then you're curving it and you can't really throw it right at 5. It's the patterns are playing different than what we're used to.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is topography of the NBS.
And when we say NBS, we're talking about the National Bowling Stadium.
And the gutter has always been okay here, but the gutter here is 5, not 1 or 2.
Yeah.
If we go back to the last time we bowled World Series here, every single pattern you could play like up 5 or like 7-5 and throw it really hard because there was so much friction on those 2 or 3 boards.
Yeah.
But if you got a right of it, it had no chance except on Cheetah.
Yeah.
So
even then, it wasn't as good.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where knowing the pairs and being able to adjust quickly and confidently is such a huge deal, especially when scoring paces. I mean, scoring paces are going to be high with 200 people bowling. Like someone somewhere is going to match up, and being able to make those adjustments quickly is definitely
gotta have control of your bag. Like today, my biggest fault the last 2 days is I scored a decent amount, but I got stuck in 2 balls. I mean, I would have loved to have been able to be more confident to ball change a couple extra times. But we got a couple questions here. Let's fire in.
I actually don't. I don't have a gem in my bag anymore because I have Ion Max. For me, Ion Max and gem are very similar. I think Ion Max you can throw a little bit longer, just because it seems to be just a touch quicker, but you can drill it to be just as slow as all those other gems that I've thrown. It's really difficult for me to replace a gem because it was such a staple in my bag, but they're also really difficult to find, whereas Ion Maxes are readily available. Eternity Pie for me is a very niche-y ball where there has to be a lot of friction on the lane, like the lane panels themselves, because it flares significantly less than an Ion Max or a gem. So I use it in the same way, but in different scenarios.
Hopefully that answered your question. What have we been doing in Reno outside of bowling? We have gotten so lucky.
Yeah.
On the couple days we have decided to golf, it was 65 and like 60 degrees those 2 days.
Yeah.
Then following both of those days, we've had either snow, ice, or rain.
I will say, looking outside right now, it is sunny and gorgeous outside. And
it's hard not to.
It's hard not to want to be outside.
But I'm hoping I have to bowl tonight.
Yeah, I'm also hoping you have to bowl tonight. I'm hoping I do not have to bowl. I hope I'm watching.
Yeah. What balls have we been throwing through the 2 animal patterns so far? When I've had score, I've leaned heavily on IM Pros on both patterns. Yeah. When I have not had score, I've thrown a whole bunch of stuff. The ones that come to mind is IM Max, Road Warriors, Physics Blackout. I'm just not seeing the picture just yet. Thankfully, 24 more games to go before that World Championship cut, and we got a couple totally different patterns coming up. So I'm guessing we're gonna have to figure out some different bowling balls to get in play.
Yeah, for me, today, or yesterday and today, I literally threw IQ 78 urethane for the first 2 games, and then I threw a phase 2 for the last 4.
Yeah,
it's really I've had a kind of a 1-ball bag. I've tried to throw other bowling balls, but the phase 2 just seems to be blending out all of the left to right friction and the front to back, and it allows me to really rotate it and just kind of feel free on the lane.
I just want everybody to know that we kind of talked him into drilling this new one yesterday. Was it yesterday you drilled it?
Cover?
Yeah. When did you drill the new?
No, I drilled it yesterday, but you wanted me to drill it like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I really like this one. And then after seeing how hard I had to work yesterday, I was like, okay, I'll drill a fresh cover. And then my fresh one hooks like 5 or 7 more than the old one.
New ball hook.
Yeah, new ball hook and new ball carry today. Clearly,
I needed that new ball carry. We have a lot of wagons going up and down. The National Bowling Stadium. It is a long walk. But you know what you're getting into. Cool place, awesome place to bowl in. Just very ginormous.
Yeah, and some guys,
We hope that you are playing better disc golf than we played regular golf just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, Simo and I think 2 or 3 other guys went to like Home Depot or Target or whatever and bought like the little foldable carts, and then they're probably just going to return them when we're done. But
yeah. Anyone throwing the storm level? Not too much. I know Simo started with it actually on the longer of the 2 patterns, a 44-foot, and had 271 game. Past that, I don't think people are really looking at it. Do I think it might have been in play? Maybe. but the 78s have looked pretty good.
Yeah, the 78s for me are not lane shining near as much as they have been in the past, and they're holding their surface quite well.
Yeah.
I think the issue with the level not looking good is that the footprint is not very big and it doesn't flare a whole lot. So it makes it quicker off the friction. Whereas the 78, like my 78 flares like 4 or 5 inches. So in the footprint on it, meaning like the width of the flare lines are really thick. So that ball's really like chewing through all that oil and, feeling like it's kind of glued to the lane. And I know it's going to hook. Whereas for me, level just kind of felt like it sat on top of the oil a little bit more. I would love it if that ball flared a little bit more. The thing that I do like about the level is that it lane shines even less than a 78 or other urethanes that we've thrown. But for me, because my ball reacts to the friction so quickly, it kind of forces me left, and then it doesn't have enough engine to still come off of the friction smoothly.
Yeah, so I'm going to assume that you watched my last couple games today. My last 3 games, I left 13 10 pins. It is frustrating to watch and probably even more so to do. At what point do you decide to change your balls? It is a very fine line out here when you're chasing the cut number of what to do in those situations. I'll tell you, I thought about changing balls pretty much every single frame for the last 2 games. But when you're bowling on certain things that can be slightly tricky, it's really hard to make a ball change if you're not fully confident that you'll at least hit the pocket. I started with both games, 5 and 6. I started with a different ball, and neither of them struck. One of them actually went Brooklyn. So my 2 guesses were not great, and so therefore I kind of got stuck in the 1 or 2 balls there. And unfortunately, they were not the right balls today, but I grinded my way through it. And so sometimes you have to take your medicine. The medicine does not taste very good when you're getting 9 a lot, but you just got to hope that over time it'll pay off.
Yeah, and I also think the other difficult part of it is like there were a couple of pairs, and the right side had them really, really good today. But just for example, 57 and 58 are blocked.
I wish I finished
dude,
on that.
I texted Andrew as soon as I got done, and I was like, dude, I just bowled on 57 and 8. It's a god pair. Like texting him, hoping that he was going to get there.
Finished 1 pair to the left of it.
One pair,
and then somebody shot 300 the last game on it.
Yeah, so I bowled on that pair game number 4. I had front 10. Another guy that on my pair had 300, and Thomas Larson had 269. So we had 850 between the 3 of us, and then 2 games later, another guy bowled 300 on it. So that pair was absolutely walled, and I was just really like hoping that you were going to get there, and I was trying to hype you up for it, and I think I made it worse because you were like, "Oh fuck, I'm not going to get there." Also, pardon my language. Sorry, forgot where we're at.
Are you both field players? Yeah. Honestly, like most guys out here that still have the thumb in it are very much so field players in some sort of fashion. Thumb timing is pretty much everything for us, and so when we're having thumb issues. And or just feel issues in general, it's really hard to repeat at the high enough level that we need to score really well.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is making sure that my thumb hole is tight enough, because that was the biggest difference between Scorpion and this pattern, was that my thumb hole was finally tight enough. And then same thing in Coconut. Like I felt like my rev rate is normally around 440. And I felt like in Coconut and today, my rev rate was pushing like 475.
I thought you were going to give him like the
No,
600 number.
no.
We always joke about his rev rate being like 600 some days.
It honestly, like when I look at it and I can hear the labels going like really fast, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm hitting it today. But like just for example, like you can kind of see like the back of my thumb. I got a couple of those spots where my thumb hole is so tight that it's pulling the skin off, and obviously I use a crap load of rosin, so it's cracking,
making it
worse. But if my thumb is not that tight, I cannot get it. Like it's almost like I'm throwing it off of my thumb and then onto my fingers, and it's happening so fast that it increases my rev rate. And that's really the key for me recently, because I feel like I have to hit the crap out of it, but I can't really rotate it a whole lot until honestly today and yesterday, because there's so much urethane.
All right. This is a fun one for my buddy Justin.
Yeah.
Smooth 600 or hooded 7 out of the fairway.
Oh yeah, I'm hitting the 7 for sure.
No, you're not.
No, I'm hitting that 6 iron, and that 6 iron is going to be a high cut.
Yeah, right into the bunker.
Right into the bunker. It's still gonna be short.
How do you guys like the format of the World Series of Bowling, which shows more games per pattern, more or less patterns? I love the idea of more patterns and playing the lanes different types of ways. I think that the cream can kind of rise to the top in essence over the amount of games. I think that maybe KP would agree. I always hope for more games. Like the more games, the better. The sharper you can get, the more you can feel out the lanes, what you're bowling on. Like these 12-game sprints are very tough. I honestly think they're tough. They're way tougher mentally than physically. Like we bowl 12 games all the time. Like that's nothing. But the amount of pressing that happens, especially when the scoring pace is high, needing to strike like right away and often to make a top 24 out of 200 cut. I think the mental fatigue is much more difficult than anything else.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think that if the scenario would have been different, where the World Series was not at the NBS and there wasn't as much room, and maybe it was one squad, I feel like the likelihood that we bowled more games would have been higher. But there's 200 people here. It's really difficult
to bowl more games. We're already here for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, we would be here for a month and a half if we bowled more squads.
Yeah.
But I'm always an advocate for more games. But it's also about logistics, and people being away from their family for a month straight is just not realistic. And the National Bowling Stadium is actually letting us use the facility for nothing. They just really wanted us to be here and wanted to help us out. So, I think that if we were to extend it, that would just be taking advantage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even though they want us here.
Yeah, it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
Are we practicing between blocks? If so, where is it? We're not practicing. I would love to. After the last couple of days of the way I've been physically throwing it, I would love to practice, but no lanes available. And we could probably go back to Coconut maybe and get a couple games in, but what would we bowl on? Like you kind of just want to stay in the mode of seeing what you're seeing and getting off to a better start each day.
Yeah, I'm not missing practice or anything like that. I feel like I'm pretty tired afterwards, so I'm cool just relaxing.
How would you compare leaving a bunch of 10 pins to golf? Would you consider it similar to hitting the cup but lipping out your putt? So a fun thing that KP and I always do is we play Would You Rathers. And I felt like I lost the Would You Rather today by saying that I would leave 13 10 pins in 3 games and make every putt when we go play tomorrow. But I would compare it. I would say leaving a bunch of 10 pins is like hitting one and then a gust of wind hits your ball.
Yeah.
While it's in the air, and so you're either 10 short or 10 long, like consistently. But it's like right on line. Like you love it. It's going right at the pin, but the distance is way off.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I have a plastic ball with me. KP drilled one while we're out here.
Yeah. Normally I don't use one. But we at Coconut, they hook so much in the middle part of the lane that I was missing spares because my urethane ball would hook going across it. So I got annoyed and I drilled one. If I drive, then I'll take one just because safety and everything like that. But most of the time, like if I fly, I don't bring one because I feel like it's a waste of a spot in the bag.
Yeah, he's also very good at throwing urethane at spares, and I've gotten too comfortable with my spare ball to not take it everywhere. All right.
That's like right up my.
This is you.
Yeah.
Hey, for those of you that haven't, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Andrew Anderson Bowling. Check out our last video. We have right around the 7-minute mark a great little minute about this exactly. But go ahead, Gabe.
So this completely depends on your thumb. You know, it's different on every person. So like we'll use mine for example. So you can see like pretty chunky right here and then really skinny down here. So it already kind of looks like a cone. So I try to tape more down through here than I do up at the top. Like I try to go because I use the ITs. Like if this chapstick is my thumb slug, if this is the top, this is the bottom, I try to start the tape like almost
halfway.
Yeah. Because it just happens to line up right with the top of the crease on my thumb here, and gets just a little bit of the actual base of my thumb. And you know, if I go too high, then I can't get my thumb all the way in because it makes the top of the hole too tight, and then the bottom of the hole is still kind of big, so it feels like an inverse cone in that regard. So I would just look at the shape of your thumb and then say, okay, well, which part is bigger, and then put less tape there and fill it in around that.
What do you guys do to maintain upright spine tilt on tall and long arms like AA? Also, how do you get your legs more involved? Appreciate the help. We appreciate that you're watching the channel and watching this. It is one of the hardest things in bowling as you're moving forward to try to keep your spine tilt up, because like the upper body wants to get involved. I work on it every single day, literally for years. I would say to get the legs more involved, setup is huge. If your body weight is over the center of your feet, more often than not, you're going to be able to maintain that for a longer amount of time. Way too often, in my experience of coaching, people are way too much on their toes or heels, and then there's too much movement forward and back, and that's where spine tilt gets out of whack. And the taller you are, the harder it is to maintain that. So, and you know, go through a couple of the YouTube videos I have posted on some of those things exactly, and I have some more tips in there. Alrighty. Do you wish the tour itself was longer? Absolutely. I think KP and I would both prefer like a 30-week year where we get to pick and choose more, where we're bowling maybe 16 to 20 events, and we get to pick what part of the year. That's just not the world we're living in. So any tour event that's out there right now, we're going to bowl it, you know?
Yeah. It's also unfortunate that I would love for our season to kind of go along with the school year, if that makes sense, right? If we competed from like September, October through like February, March, I think that would be incredibly ideal, because most everybody is going to want to be inside anyway. And we're an inside sport, so, you know, not going to make people sit out in the cold. But I agree. I think I would end up bowling more. I'd probably, like, if we had 30 events, I'd probably bowl like 25 of them.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
yeah, it's
easy to say that now too. Like, but if you're bowling week after week after week, I would say we'd probably bowl like 3 weeks on, 1 week off.
Yeah.
And so you'd probably end up missing throughout a whole year, probably like 10 events.
Yeah. But
in that scenario.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we don't have the.
I appreciate it, G.
Unfortunately, we don't have the sponsorship to be able to really do all that.
Yeah. All right. Why do you use rosin for thumb? I think it would make the ball stick my thumb. That's exactly what we want. I don't think it would ever stick, actually, but we want more grip. We want to be able to hold onto the ball without squeezing. And so majority, I would say 85% of amateur bowlers, when they put their thumb in their ball without rosin or without tape in it, have something on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, like around a 9 in grip pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And so the less squeezing, the better. And so we use a lot of rosin to make sure we don't have to squeeze as much.
Yeah. I cake on the rosin. If you look at my hand, it is literally just, I mean, there's still rosin on my hand now because it's
I don't think they can see it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can, but there's literally rosin in the creases. Yeah, in the creases of my thumb, because I use so much of it. And it just goes right back to talking about, like, I need my thumb hold tight. I want that thing to not come off.
Yeah.
Because I change grip pressure with fingers, not thumb. Right. If I'm trying to get my ball to roll faster, I add grip pressure to try to force myself to hit up on it. Whereas if I
how many fingers do you have on your hands?
I have 4 and a
Okay.
thumb.
Is this year a product of equipment change or more so being physically healthy? I would say definitely both. I've actually been healthy for a couple of years. Last year I had a good year. I was 15th or 14th in points last year. Comparatively to the years before that, the couple of years, that was a huge stepping stone, huge progress. I think that the next step for me was, a change in equipment and a fresh mindset. And now we're going to see what that looks like in terms of success.
Yeah, it also helps that the last time that you worked with Rob Gottschall, you won Player of the Year. So,
we have a very good working relationship.
Yeah, you guys know each other so well, and he knows your game and knows what to say when,
He
things are
wasn't
going
wasn't thrilled with me today when every time I looked at him I said, "Can I ball change yet?"
well. You
ball
should have
change?
just done it.
All right, this is fun. Do you think playing Marvel Rivals makes you better doubles partners, or being doubles partners makes you better at Marvel Rivals? Our success in Marvel Rivals is not great.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to go with the first one,
Yeah.
that our communication while sucking at Rivals makes us better doubles partners. Yeah. All right. This is awesome. I always love when my students have success at some point. I've been very fortunate to coach a lot of high-level players through TurboTech, and so love seeing this, and best of luck. That's best of luck in the future. Finishing third is I'm sure a little upset, but that's huge. All right. G, I am not ducking you on the golf course. I just want to make sure that when we play again, I am prepared to not get outdriven by a senior citizen.
Yeah, I drove me a couple times the other day.
Yeah, I got lucky. All right. All love, G. All love. How do you tackle the gray wall China pattern? You throw it hard, you hit it hard, you hope for the best. Yeah. And whoever Grumpa Baggins is, I just like the name.
I know, yeah. I will say, house patterns, I throw it as hard as I physically can. From
get those pins flying.
10 to 8, 12 to 8. And if the ball doesn't stay on line long enough, I go to a weaker ball. And I throw it as hard as I physically can.
Yeah. Is the World Series of Bowling as mind-battling as U.S. Open and Masters all about the same? Every one of them brings a different battle. The U.S. Open is a true test of your physical game over 4 totally different patterns, very, very difficult. And so I think that the biggest physical game test is the U.S. Open, but the mental game at the U.S. Open is you just know you have to grind. There's not too often where you're all right, I need 235 a game. The World Series of Bowling, when you walk in to practice, you're saying we got to get started early and we got to get going. The patience level is just different.
Yeah, I was going to say the U.S. Open for me is it's all about patience, because you know that the patterns are going to be harder than normal, right? I feel like this year the U.S. Open was a little fluky. Why, the reason the scores were so high. Obviously we're all bowling really well but most of the time the scores are 5 to 8 pins less a game at the U.S. Open. So
maybe more.
Yeah, it really just
only took 204 to make the cut.
Yeah, and but I feel like the U.S. Open is more about patience and biding your time and taking advantage of the good pairs rather than looking for score on every pair. Whereas here at the World Series, it's okay, I have to make these decisions. They have to be the right decisions, because right now, if you're not averaging 225, you don't have a chance of making any of the cuts. And we kind of put ourselves, not fully against the wall, but closer to our backs against the wall after our first block. Obviously,
no, my back was inside the wall
after the first round, but there was still so much bowling left.
Yeah.
So we had to obviously make up a ton of ground just to feel like we were back on pace. And we've both done that pretty successfully in comparison to what it could have been.
Yeah. And thankfully, we have 24 more games. Well, hopefully, 24 or 40 more games if we make that cut.
And I think the Masters, because neither of us talked about the Masters, I think the Masters is more about, okay, what do I got to do to get to the top 63?
Yeah,
And
two
then-
different tournaments in one.
And then it's like, okay, who am I bowling, and can I make it easier for myself or more difficult for them?
Yeah, it's very strategy driven.
Yeah.
But there's two tournaments in one there. You have 15 games to make your way through the first tournament, and then the second tournament starts where match play, strategy, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Guys, we appreciate all the questions. We're going to try to hit as many as we can. Obviously, this is now our second time doing it, so we've answered some questions last time as well that have been asked today. So if I skip over you, I'm sorry. We're trying to get through as many as we can.
Yeah. And I hit the rosin bag with just my fingers and my thumb. It's a little vice pouch, so
it's a pepper shaker.
Yeah.
What he sees it as.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to town on it.
Yeah, I am.
Why do almost all pros drill new balls for a tournament? Why not keep the same balls you practice with? It would be the same. You can compare it to a lot of different things, but when you're bowling out here against the best in the world and everybody physically is very good, you're looking for an edge. And the difference between shooting 250 and 230 is your ball hooking 1 foot earlier or later. And so you're just looking for those small advantages. And so we practice with certain balls to say, okay, these ones are the ones that are close. And then we drill bowling balls around those to get them even closer to what we want to see to match up to what we physically want to do.
Yeah. And I mean, it just goes to show, like, I had an older phase 2 that has a bunch of games on it. And I threw it yesterday and I bowled well, but I could just tell that, like, it was working really, really hard. And as balls get more games on them, the surface doesn't stick to it. Like if I hit a older phase 2 with 2000, it's going to lane shine faster because it already has oil in the cover. And it's also not going to be as responsive to the friction. So that's why I'm saying, like, the fresh phase 2 hooked 5 or 7 more than the old one, just because it's a more, the pores on the cover are not filled in with dirt and oil and all that other stuff. So it's gripping through the oil much better and actually retaining energy way better than the older one is.
And we're also bowling on 33 mils of oil on some of these patterns. So to put that into a scenario, majority of your house shots are around 23 to 26 mils. So we're bowling on 40% more oil, 35% more oil than you guys are.
Yeah.
So bowling balls go through, we go through bowling balls at a much faster rate.
Yeah. I think if you were to hold on to a bowling ball right now for longer and throw it a lot, I think it would be like 3 events.
I have the one iron pro that has made it through about 100 games.
Yeah.
And she was working hard today.
Yeah. The phase 2 that I was throwing has about 100 on it as well.
Yeah. All right. A lot of questions. Hey, will there be any Andrew Anderson merch coming out? Absolutely. Jillian and I are working on it. If you don't know Jillian is she is the wonder behind the YouTube videos and the channels in general. She puts all this together for me. She's a huge help. She's the best. So she also does Jason Mamani's YouTube channel. So you'll see a lot of similarities at times throughout those. But there will be merch coming out. We're hoping for end of summer to get ready for the next bowling season. I gotta find. I don't know how I don't love my AA nickname, but we might be rolling with that and find some fun things throughout the videos to do with merch. Key component, please go to my YouTube channel. I have like 3 videos on this. My most viewed video is actually the release video. Andrew Anderson Bowling, check it out. I think it will help. All right. What do the ball reps do to help your game? They keep you, mentally in check at times. They make sure that you know what's going on in the next pair. If you're flipping into the house, what the characteristics are doing different. For those of you that have, moved pairs in a tournament, you know how difficult it can be sometimes just moving right next door. Imagine skipping an entire 80-lane building and having no clue. And so we have a good idea of what sections do, but they're just trying to give you that extra frame or 2 head start and getting you in the right place to have success.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, like, we'll use my last pair, for example, 73 and 4. Like, I know that the higher end of the house, some of the specific lanes are super tight. But I asked Joey, who was handling the higher end of the house, I was like, hey, what's weird about 73 and 4? Like, I can't remember what it is. And they keep track of, most of these pairs that stand out as what we would call bad pairs, where the scoring pace is just lower on those specific pairs. And he comes over, he's like, 74 has been tighter the entire time than 73. How much it is, I don't know. We haven't had anybody bowl on it in a while. So unfortunately, Thomas Larson and I had to find out on the fly that it was 7 tighter than 74 was 7 tighter than 73.
That pair has been brutal
Awful.
this whole week.
Yeah, terrible. But it's all because of topography. Like, it had nothing to do with how people played them or anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of topography, you have to play them differently. But they keep track of all of that for us, so that way we don't have to, because there's no guarantee. Like, when we go to Chameleon, like, I might not bowl on 73 and 4, but other staffers will.
Yeah.
So they basically gather information for us, keep track of it for us, and then communicate that information to us as we need it. And they are also really good as, if we're struggling to ball change, or what's the next move, as far as like, do I move 5 left, throw it slower, rotate it more? Do I go right, throw it harder? They're really good at keeping track of who's bowling well and what's working, and then communicating that to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacob, I will be there as long as the schedule permits. But as of right now, yes, I'm planning on being there. We don't want KP in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He tends to win too much, so let's let him stay home for that one.
Is that Memorial Day?
Memorial Day tournament.
I don't think I'll be there.
Shame.
Yeah, I think Ashley and I are gonna go do something.
You guys should. Yeah, you guys have something.
I think we're gonna go do.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go spend 10K, not make it.
You better start winning some more. So you guys having a channel together? Yeah. So I would consider Kris a free agent. Yes, he's gonna be on my channel hopefully as much as he wants to be. Included in this. But KP kind of just is just wanders around. Yeah,
I'm still with the house bowling. Obviously, Packy and I are not rooming together. But anytime Brad and Kyle pull out the camera, Darren, Packy, whatever, anytime a camera pops up, I just go and put my face there.
Yeah.
And tell you guys to subscribe, because that's my job, since nobody else does it.
All right. Yes. Do you have to add anything to that? Okay. Cool. All right. What happens with the bowling balls after tournament? Hopefully, majority of them make it to the next tournament. I would say a lot of the time balls are donated either to the local school programs, local colleges, local pro shops to do different things with for what we hope is youth bowling most of the time.
Yeah, I tend to give a lot of the ones that either I go through a fit change, or maybe they're a little older, depending on how old they are. Like this phase 2 that I have that has 100 games on it, I wouldn't give that to anybody because the usage of it is already done. I'll sign it and give it to a kid. But if I have a bunch of balls with like 20 or 30 games on it, I'll give it to like a local college, or if there's a shop that wants to plug them and sell them, or give them to their youth program, I'm more than happy to do that. Neither of us sell our old bowling balls or anything like that.
Yeah. For average bowlers, do you think it's a good idea to have separate equipment for tournaments for league play, or is that based on how often you bowl and maintain equipment? I'd always say that once you're comfortable in your league environments, to just keep a couple balls for it. You don't need a bunch of new bowling balls for the league once you figure out what works there. For tournaments, however, yeah, I think it's really important to have a well-rounded bowling bag, maintain them, and because you need different motions more often than league patterns, you kind of just get to, I would say, how do I word this? When you get a new ball, of course, we all get like new ballitis, we call it, where you want to throw it, right? And so what you learn is like not every ball is supposed to work at the same time. And so many people throw, we're going to use, I see an IQAI as a question. Many people use that, and it's supposed to be kind of a weaker-ish responsive bowling ball. Yeah. Well, if you throw that on a fresh league pattern that's 42 feet, that doesn't hook much, you're not going to love the ball because you're throwing it at the wrong time. And so separating equipment for tournaments that like rounds off your bowling bag versus in league, I think is important just because you need all your bases covered.
Yeah, I would say, like, just for a rule of thumb, like if you're a tournament bowler and you're bowling, let's say even a tournament a month, I would have 6 balls for the tournament and then like a 3-ball bag for league. Just your 2 favorite balls and a spare ball, honestly, because it's 3 games on an incredibly easy pattern. So you should be able to get your favorite bowling balls to match up because you know what they do based on, how you throw it.
Yeah, prior experience for sure.
Yeah.
How do you keep sharp for the final coming up while throwing in different patterns? Yeah, so obviously we're already bowling in a different center than I qualified in.
Yeah.
Coconut Bowl and National Bowling Stadium are nothing alike. The bowling balls I'll use for the show are probably different than what I use to qualify. So we'll have multiple practices before that TV show, 2 non-televised practices, and then the one that's on TV before the match. And so we have plenty of time, but staying sharp, we're bowling a lot of games this week. You're going to find some stuff that gets you into a rhythm eventually, and hopefully you can just throw some really good ones on the show and match up.
Yeah, and luckily the half of the patterns that we're bowling on, the angles haven't really been that different from what we were doing at Coconut.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
not too much different. Let's see. Guys, we hope you're enjoying this. We're going to go maybe another 10 more minutes, try to answer a bunch of questions. We love that you guys are invested in watching. We appreciate it. This is something we enjoy, getting back and being more interactive with you guys. All right. There's a couple. Oh, Perry. I think every brand of bowling balls has their own characteristics. Now that you've had some time to get familiar with Storm, what would you say are the standout characteristics of both Motive and Storm? Well, I think that number one is the amount of bowling balls is a simple answer. Motive comes out with a bowling ball every 45 days. Storm comes out with maybe 3 to 4 in that time span. And for me, what I really have enjoyed in not so much in the bowling balls themselves, it's just the amount of options. My mind works at 1,000 miles a minute, especially when things are going poorly. It's better for me to have more options to look at, to decipher through. And so far, I feel like the higher end stuff of Storm has been more useful for me to begin the year than I've maybe had in years past. All right. This is a fun one. You have been to Sweden and competed in the Swedish National League. How do you compare it to PBA and house leagues? Keep rocking. KP should definitely team up with you. KP is my teammate.
I've been wanting to go over there, but it's also difficult. It'd be easier now because when he was going over for the league matches, you were doing Motive camps.
Yeah.
Now we could do a Storm one together.
Yeah.
So it could be a little bit more financially profitable.
Yeah. Right. The Swedish National League is one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. I hope I continue to be. I don't know if I'll be a part of it this year or not. Both is Gotha in Helsingborg. It is like nothing we see in the United States. Swedish National League, they don't bowl for money, they bowl for pride. And so all those matches on the weekends or even some throughout the weekdays, when you're bowling against head-to-head, it is I want to beat you and you want to beat me, and it's very much a prideful match where at league, especially in the Midwest where I'm from in Michigan, it at times is money-driven. And, I bowl league to go have fun with my friends, watch Perry Crowell shoot 640 at 5-star, have a drink watching him do it. So it's a different level of competition, I would say. You have Kris is the best. It says Kris is the best. I just want you to see that somebody says I'm the favorite.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that's fine.
How many games does a ball last on average? Go ahead. With your rev rate, 600, 12 games?
Yeah, I'm really burning through the things. I would say anywhere from 75 to 100, and if you clean them and take care of them.
You're getting some shots about the incredibly easy. Have you taken Kris to 5-star?
Yeah, I bowled at 5-star.
You had a good smooth 7-10 there.
Yeah, that's fine. So that's good.
233.5
233.5 a game. That's fine. Anyway, I would say like 75 to 100, and then if you clean your equipment after every use or so, I would say maybe like 125.
You could definitely get a league season, or at least majority of a league season out of the ball. If
yeah,
treated
100%,
properly.
100%. Yeah, it just depends on how much you bowl, because I think a lot of people don't account for the 10 minutes of practice in league, because most of the time you're bowling half a game, maybe 3/4 of a game, and if you don't have a whole lot of people, it's a whole another game. So realistically, you're bowling anywhere from 3.5 to 4 games of every night of league.
Yeah, with practice for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. This guy's asked a couple times. Go ahead. Fire in.
Honestly,
have you guys ever seen Chris Prather slow curve a ball? It's very fun to watch.
Yeah.
This is the pattern that I think he gets to do it the most.
Yeah, because everybody throws the urethane ball like anywhere from 8 to 12 at the arrows to like 7, 6, 5, depending on how much friction there is on the pair. So they're creating a lot of carry down with the urethane balls. So it allows me to throw it really slow, use a lot of rotation, which is exactly like, my natural rotation is like 65 degrees. So my ball hooks so much more down lane than everybody else's. So I'm able to get further. Let me rephrase. It hooks down lane so much. It hooks so much more down lane than other people that use their thumb, because most people that use their thumb don't have as much rotation, and they can't throw it as slow as I can. The two-handers can keep up, but their ball doesn't always get over there for free, where mine does. So yeah, I just am super comfortable throwing it slow and throwing it at the gutter, and not a lot of other people are. So I'm just able to create angles that not everybody is comfortable making.
Yep. All right. I like this question. Would you guys like to see bowling in the Olympics? I think it is everything we're missing. We have tried, and by we, I have actually personally been on the USBC board and helped facilitate that. There have been people trying for 30, 40 plus years, and we're going to continue to try. We're going to do everything that we can to showcase our sport on the highest level, and I really think that bowling in the Olympics would be, no pun intended, game-changing.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that the youth of today has such a different outlook because of how influential social media is. And I would say, like, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the physical health of the bowlers did not meet the level of what the Olympics were or are.
Yeah.
And I think that kids nowadays are taking better care of their bodies. We're making changes ourselves, trying to keep up with these kids, and create more longevity for ourselves. So I think the image that the youth bowlers today are creating is already better. And I think that it's actually carrying over to us because of the changes that they are making. And they're getting so good so fast that we're like, well, crap, we have to make those changes ourselves so that way we are not out of a job.
Yeah.
So I think that has a potential of it. And the fact that there are so many popular younger bowlers on social media has the opportunity to catch the eye of the general public that may not be interested in bowling, which could be a huge influence to Olympic committees and stuff.
Yeah. I would say that image is the most important thing when it comes to the Olympics, and viewership. And so what we can do as bowlers, anybody watching, anybody that talks to other bowlers, is that when bowling is on television, you got to watch it. You got to be a live viewer of it. The more live viewers we have, the more viewership we bring in, the better that conversation is going to go when we get back to the Olympic committees, whoever is running the Olympics that year. That's a huge number to them. And so watching bowling more often only gets us closer. All right.
Let's do 2 more, and then you said you had We were supposed to do a question for each other last time.
We love that you guys have a bunch of questions. We both made a question for each other, or a couple for just in case we didn't have a lot of questions. But I do want to get to that. Well, I like this modern day version of Doug Kent.
Thank you.
That's a compliment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
Doug Kent is one of my favorite growing up. Go blue for sure, absolutely. When is the choice, ball versus speed or hand position? Peter, when you figure that out, if you could send me a private message and let me know, because it is an ongoing, ever-changing, adapting.
Yeah, it's all about the situation.
Yeah, what do you need in that moment?
Yeah.
I will be in Louisiana for Nationals June 13th and 14th. When are you bowling? Right after that, right?
25th and 6th.
25th and 6th. I'm going to wall them up for KP.
Yeah, hopefully it lasts that long.
All right, you guys ready? You ready for my question?
Yeah, I am, because I forgot.
All right, so there's 5. I think, yeah, I had it where there's 5 different parts of this question.
Oh, God, okay.
You have to build the perfect bowler out of bowlers on tour right now.
Oh, okay.
You have ball roll.
Okay.
Rev rate.
Yep.
Ball roll, rev rate, mental game, lane play, and style.
Okay. I'm going to go ball roll.
I feel like, is this a shot? Am I not versatile? When Nolan shared that video of my versatility as I'm playing the same part lane 3 times, that didn't go very well.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what's funny is we gave him so much crap for that too. I was like, dude, you could have taken videos from earlier in the blog.
I played 5 that same blog.
Yeah, no.
He's like, no, we're gonna show you versatility of playing 25 every time.
Oh my God.
All right, so
funny. Okay, so
let's start with ball roll.
Yeah, I think EJ's ball roll is the best.
I knew you were gonna go there,
dude. I mean,
you can't use EJ again though.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay.
So you can only use each person once.
All right.
So EJ's ball roll.
EJ's ball roll.
Right.
I mean, the fact that he can throw the same bowling balls in every single pattern, annoying. But I feel like he figures out which ball is matching up, and they just happen to work. But anyway,
so let's go. So rev rate. Whose rev rate do you want?
Jesper's.
Okay.
What is it? What's next?
So EJ's ball roll, Jesper, dude. It's gonna be hard to keep that ball in the lane.
I know. That's the whole point. We're shimwrecking everybody.
What was the third one? Mental game.
Ooh. Packy. Hand or hand.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like even though his ball's going to go in the left gutter every time,
he just keeps.
No, this bowler's right-handed, by the way.
Yeah.
Even though it's going to go in the left gutter, he's going to be happy about being there.
Okay.
Just being able to compete.
All right.
And then
lane play.
Simo.
Yeah, I could have written this. I didn't have the Packy one. I didn't have Packy's mental game written down, but I had Simo for sure. You saying Simo on lane play.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting sometimes.
Yeah. He comes up with some crazy ideas.
And they work majority of the time. All right. And then so style. Who do you want it to look like?
I'm gonna be selfish. I want him to look like me because I'm just dreaming about me being this guy.
That's unbelievable.
Well,
I would have said here's my answers.
Yeah.
All right. So what was the first one I said? Ball roll.
Yeah.
I'm going with Don Barrett.
Ooh,
I think that he can do like anything to a ball.
Yep.
Rev rate. I'm going with EJ.
Okay.
EJ's rev rate. Dom's ball roll. We're going with mental game. We're going with Tommy Jones.
Oh, okay.
I mean, strongest in the 10th, possibly in the history of bowling. 4th was lane play. We're gonna go with. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna go with Simo as well. And then I'm gonna go with Chris Barnes.
Ooh, yeah. I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, we got a good bowler.
Yeah,
we got a couple good bowlers there. Now, you guys can pick whose bowler would win in a match.
Yeah.
There you go.
My guy, because you ain't gonna have no left. He's gonna.
You're not gonna have any lane to throw it on. There's no lane left. At least I feel like Dom's ball roll. I might be able to feather it up by.
Yeah, do something wild.
You're gonna be.
Yeah.
All right. What was your question?
I completely forgot what it was, but I'm gonna come up with one on the fly.
See, hey, look, we got a couple. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you.
You guys are biased. All right. You have to pick a major and put it in your favorite international bowling center that you've been to.
Oh. All right. So Dream Bowl Palace in Munich, Germany. If you guys go to Google it. Absolutely incredible place. I would put the Tournament of Champions there and make it like a super elite high level field. And I feel like one, from a spectating thing, it's the easiest place to spectate. You could have thousands of people watching, and the pins fall so easy.
Oh, nice.
Messengers galore.
Yeah, all about it.
Yeah. How are you? Would you pick what's the Tokyo Port Bowl? Is that what you pick? No.
I don't think so. I think the one that comes to mind is, just because I love the atmosphere of it and I love the talent it is Helsingborg, where we bowl Lucky Larson's.
Yeah, I love it there. I think I bowled there so much now, though.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful center.
Yeah, and the atmosphere outside of the center is so awesome. And I would actually put I'd put the Masters there.
That would be crazy.
Right?
420 entries there.
Yeah, we're there for 3 weeks.
You'd have to be 14 squads.
Yeah, but it would be run exactly like the Lucky Larson.
All right.
Right, but then I mean, because that's essentially their.
Yeah, no, that would be a blast. People would love it. More people need to travel there for sure. Well, yeah. I mean, you have anything else?
I don't think so. Just appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us for an hour and asking all your questions and being, honestly entertaining for us. Because if you guys don't have your curiosities and want to have these answers, then it's pretty boring just us coming up with it on our own. Yeah, and make sure tune in to Bowl TV when you leave this, and maybe send out some darts to get me into the cuts tonight, and then save the darts for if I'm bowling later on. Yeah, unless it's me then. Yeah. If me and KP happen to bowl each other tonight, send all the darts his way. Yeah, definitely. All right. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow along, get the updates when a new video or a live stream is out. We appreciate you guys. Thanks. See you.